And here joining us to help us understand this message even more is Ashel Eldridge. Seasunz is his nickname, and this guy is amazing. I saw his music video. It's called Food Fight. Look for it on YouTube. He's from a group called Earth Amplified. He's a spiritual warrior. He's a warrior of truth and food justice. This video speaks to the inner city kids who are growing up on junk food and processed food and energy drinks, and what they need to be turning to is real nutrition. Ashel Eldridge joins us right now on the Alex Jones Show. Ashel, thank you for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you on.
How's it going, Mike? Great to be here.
Well, thank you. Thank you for what you do, too. How has the reaction been so far to your Food Fight video? You able to hear me? All right. I think he's not hearing me. Well, let me know when we got that connection going up. But if you want to check it out, folks, it's Food Fight. The video is up on YouTube right now. We did a review of it on Natural News. If you want to check that out, this is a powerful message. It talks about the matrix. It talks about the GMOs. It talks about aspartame. And it's just a very uplifting, empowering message from a very talented artist. Are we good now? All right, we're gonna come back to Ashel. All right, we're getting him back on. But anyway, the point is that these foods are what's really killing us. So you got a government that tries to say, well, we want to keep you safe from, a shooting, so we want to take away those rights. Or we want to, keep you safe, like Mayor Bloomberg does in New York, from soda, so we're going to ban large soda drinks. Or, we want to keep you safe from this or that, X, Y, and Z. The list never ends. And the rules never end, and what you end up with is a society where it's a police state of total safety. Oh, yeah, you're safe now because you're not allowed to leave your house. You're not allowed to turn on the internet. You're not allowed, to go to non-approved websites. Might be something risky there, risky information. Oh, you're not allowed to buy raw cheese, raw dairy. You're not allowed to do anything. Hey, in Oregon, you're not even allowed to collect rainwater in your field. They sent a guy to jail for 30 days there just for collecting rainwater. So they want to keep you, they want to sell you on the idea of safety while they're really enslaving you. And hey, Hitler created a society that was really, really safe if you weren't targeted by Hitler, right? I mean, that was the goal for him, to create an amazing society, a golden age of amazing citizens who are, the most upstanding human beings of all. And he wanted to create a super safe society. But, of course, it was a nightmare. So don't fall for that idea that safety creates abundance. It doesn't. Now, we've got Ashel back on the line. He couldn't hear me the last time. Ashel Eldridge, known as Seasunz, has the Food Fight video that's just amazing. So, Ashel, can you hear me now? And welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
Okay, great. Sorry about that little technical issue there. So, tell me, what has the reaction been so far? Your video's only been out a few days. What are you hearing so far?
Yeah, the reaction is amazing. We're getting response people all around the world, actually, who've seen this video. People in South Africa who are doing agriculture projects with youth, moms in Philadelphia who are, just upset with the food system and what their children are being fed in schools. People who are, crying, essentially. It was like, I'm a family farmer in Ireland, and I sort of gave up on what I was working on, and this video inspired me again to get back out there and make sure that people have the healthy food.
Yeah.
So it's really inspiring.
Your video is very, very inspiring. What motivated you to do this? I mean, were you seeing so many people harmed by processed foods, or what? How did you decide to take this on? It's a big project. Yeah,
well, I worked with the organization Green for All. We worked on sort of green jobs, and I was the organizer, spotlight organizer. So I went around the country and I saw that a lot of communities dealing with nutrition issues, dealing with diabetes, heart disease, cancer. And then also at the same time, a lot of people really doing it on their own, growing their own food. And there was a small pocket of people where they weren't necessarily getting the same amount of press and having the same amount of push. So as an educator myself.
Stay with us, Ashel. Sorry to interrupt. We got to go to a quick break, but stay with us. I've got a lot more questions for you on the other side of this break. It's Ashel Eldridge Seasunz from the Food Fight video. He's with us on the Alex Jones Show. We'll be right back with a lot more.
Alex Jones here with a message that could revolutionize health in this country. Going back about 1.5 years ago, I began to learn about the incredible health effects of longevity products. Dykes lost 92 pounds. We're going to show you some before and afters. Aaron, break down what happened, your story.
I've worked really hard with diet and exercise to try to lose weight, but I just didn't get the results. It just didn't happen. Then I saw what you were doing with InfowarsTeam.com. I wasn't even trying to lose weight, but I got it because I wanted to feel better energy. I wanted that nutrition. Didn't even understand how that could kickstart my own weight loss goals, but the products did that for me. I found myself suddenly losing weight, more energetic, wanting to exercise, wanting to eat the right foods.
And they don't even advertise it as weight loss. I want to challenge our radio listeners to go to InfowarsTeam.com, sign up as a distributor, and get wholesale pricing discounts at InfowarsTeam.com.
The new issue of Infowars magazine is out, and the cover is an American flag with the topic of Civil War II. Is that what's coming? Hopefully not. But the issue's out. You can get the issue at the Infowars store. You can subscribe. This is a beautiful, glossy print magazine. It's got all kinds of content in it. Check it out at InfowarsStore.com. This is awesome. You know, other magazines are going out of print, but we here at the freedom side of things are getting into print. And speaking of the main topic here, Civil War, you know, like I said earlier, the systems of control that exist in our world, they want to get the people fighting with each other, especially fighting among racial lines. They want to pit black against white and Latino against white and everybody else. They just want people fighting with each other so that they're not fighting the system. And this artist, Ashel, he understands that. He understands that it's about the people fighting for with their brothers and sisters and fellow human beings fighting for freedom against the system. So remember that. It's always about the people versus the corporate fascist government system. Now, what we really want as a free people is we want to be left alone largely. We want to have basic freedoms and basic rights that can never be touched by any system of government. And that's what the Bill of Rights is. The Bill of Rights is supposed to be non-negotiable. In fact, let me see if I can find this quote on it here. Here it is. It's a great article out of investors.com by Thomas Sowell, where he talks about the fact that, yeah, people make mistakes, but government makes deadly errors. This is his article. And, you know, the whole theory of government is that there is a group of elite people at the top who are wiser and smarter than everybody else, and they should tell us what to do and what to eat and how to live our lives. And it turns out that individuals are smarter than those systems, especially when those systems are corporate control systems, which is what we see in the food system, the medical system, and so on. And so, again, getting back to Ashel, a guy who really gets that, he understands that this is about people fighting alongside people for people freedom, individual freedom against the system. He gets that, and his music video, Food Fight, is, of course, going viral all across the internet. So, Ashel, welcome back. Sorry about the connection problems we had there. So, continuing with your thoughts before the break, go ahead.
Yeah, you know, well, I'm from Chicago originally, and my grandmother, you know, she passed away from diabetes when I was 8 years old. So just witnessing that and then going deeper in investigation of sort of the food legacies, my family and a lot of families around the United States, particularly sort of low-income communities, people of color, start to see the same trend around this disease. And what I wanted to do, because I work with a lot of young folks and I work on a hip-hop artist, I wanted to reclaim that art form and really communicate to the young people so that they have just awareness around, you know, what's against them in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And also how they can empower themselves to liberate themselves through their food, through growing their food and just being healthy, getting the earth inside of them. So that's why we created SOS juice system out of your system, to the nonprofit, for-profit hybrid, health education, nutrition education, growing your food, and also some business incubation there too. So for folks coming out of prison and low-income communities that can actually be a part of that. But obviously this is an issue that everyone around the world is dealing with, as you see the soil not having the same amount of power that it used to have. As you see just the systems we've created being efficient is falling apart all over the place.
Yeah.
We got to create some food sovereignty and start taking responsibility for ourselves.
You know, also, I watched your video several times. I don't know how deeply you touched on this issue, but I'm sure you get this, that, you know, you come from Chicago, and that's a city that's racked by violence. But there's a link between violence and what you might call violent food or processed food, dead food. If you grow up, if you are fed these kinds of chemicals and these refined, adulterated foods, you become less of a person who can get along in society. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
This is true across the board.
No, that's exactly right. I mean, so in taking responsibility for our health, we take responsibility for our welfare and our future. I mean, if your immune system is weak, you know, you really can't take care of yourself.
Yeah. Seasunz, will you stay with us again through the one more break, and then we'll have a long segment on the other side. Stay with us. Yeah, welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. And we're joined by Seasunz Eldridge, the creator of Food Fight. We got a long segment here now, so no more commercial interruptions for a while. Ashel, I wanted to ask you about this. You know, what really intrigued me about your music video, Food Fight, is that it's a message to the inner city communities. It's a message that we don't often hear. You know, in terms of how this plays out in terms of race, we often see, you know, the super sort of stringent food purists, you know, tend to be a lot of white folks. And then the Latino communities, they're having diabetes problems because no one's telling them that drinking all this soda is giving you diabetes. And then the African-American communities are dying from breast cancer and prostate cancer because nobody's telling them that dark skin pigmentation blocks vitamin D. And if you're deficient in vitamin D, you're going to get cancer. And it's like, your message is speaking to this, and it's desperately needed. Are you getting comments about the importance of what you're doing?
Yeah, definitely getting a lot of comments. I mean, I'm not sure about the details around the skin pigmentation, but I think that, you know, and also like, you know, big ups to Ben Zono, New Message Media. Worked on a couple of projects with him around like banning plastic bags, for example, Plastic State of Mind.
Right.
And there's a huge community of people around the country who are working on this issue of food justice for the community. And I think that where we're at is just a crucial moment. A lot of people are just waking up to the fact that they're sick and tired, and they're tired of being sick and tired.
Right.
And, you know, the hospital bills are off the chain, and we're losing people left and right. Sure, we're losing people to a war abroad. We're losing people in a lot of different ways. But one thing I think that that I think is a unifying factor for a lot of people across different cultures even, is the food. So obviously we see, I mean, you look at the statistics, advertisements around, you know, name your soft drink, name your fast food chain, they're definitely placed in these low-income communities. So, I mean, I see that as an individual who's doing a lot of organizing and stuff like that. I see that as intentional in a lot of ways. But also at the same time, I see it as something that can be brought down once you bring awareness to it. So as an artist, I think it's sort of like our responsibility to be on the front lines a little bit, energetically at least, to put out images to hit people in the consciousness.
Definitely.
That shift. So it's amazing to hear people like, yeah, like after watching this video, I felt bad about the Skittles that I ate beforehand, or I'm actually going to change my diet after this, or, you know, and that's something that we can go, sure, we can go bang on the wall in DC, we can go, you know, and that's something that we can, we can go, sure, we can go bang on the wall in DC, we can go, you know, and that's something that we can, we can go, 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 we you can do a lot of things. But I think that, and all of it's important. But I think that the way we're sort of operating right now is to work with this medium, and it's also an example for other artists too to step up and say, hey, we need to produce the media, because the media is being owned and controlled and corporatized as well.
That's right.
We need to actually create our own media. So this really is about like sovereignty, you know, food sovereignty, sovereignty of the individual, the responsibility for themselves and growing their own food and not necessarily dependent upon the system.
Well, that's where the power really comes from, is the individual power. And what I like about your videos, it shows individuals making choices instead of eating the processed food, which really enslaves all of us, no matter what our racial background. We are all enslaved in a system of disease and healthcare, or sick care, actually, if we live our lives consuming those processed foods. So if we want to be free people, empowered people, capable people, we have to make that individual choice every single day about what we put into our mouths.
Absolutely.
And you get that. And also your video depicts, inner city folks making that choice. But a lot of people, sort of living in the suburbs, they think that anybody can just go down and buy organic food anywhere. But in the inner city areas, you can't just get organic food very easily. What's available there is mostly just processed garbage.
Exactly. So we did the studies, and actually people, if there's better food available, people would take the better food. I mean,
yes.
We've done the studies, the research is out there. It's not just like the people are somehow inclined to wanting bad food or something. It's sort of set up like that, unfortunately. So one thing we're working on is actually creating sort of enterprise in some way, so that we can create an alternative. People can get the education, they can get the juice cleanses. Because one thing you got to do, and I like some of the advertising I heard on the radio during the breaks, is that we got to get the system out of our system. So we have to detox the system.
Right.
To detox all these things that are sort of attracting all these situations, especially also the violence. You spoke upon that, and I think that's a really valid point. One thing around, obviously, there's obviously a connection between food and behavior.
Yes.
That's been thoroughly documented. And we can't put it, and obviously we've seen, chemical warfare. The same people are pumping in genetically modified food have been part of chemical warfare campaigns all around the world. So yeah,
well, food is a chemical warfare delivery system.
Right, exactly. So, we sort of wanted to point that out and do it in a way that has some humor in it, so people can actually swallow it down.
Yeah.
And actually create, and just encourage people. Because I know a lot of people wake up to this stuff, and we wanted to make sure that folks knew that we had their back. And obviously, at this point, we're creating more organization around it. So we're building more teammates. Yeah,
and what's a website where people can... I'm sorry, but what website can people go to learn more about the curriculum and everything else that follows the video? What's the site?
Yeah, exactly. SOSjuice.com.
SOSjuice.com. Okay.
SOSjuice.com, yeah. Powered the people. And it's been amazing to see the curriculum, too. I mean, big ups to Vanessa Carter. Teammate came on and said, you know what, this is perfect. She works at an Occidental Arts and Ecology Center. And they had like one of the oldest, right here in California, the oldest organic farm in California. And she works as a school teacher, and she works with creating community school gardens.
Yeah.
She created the curriculum, and we got more people studying curriculum. So the first line of this movement is obviously going to be education. So we got to create awareness, education, and then we can start mobilizing people in certain ways after that. But if people want to be a part of the team, or got ideas and any that, we actually create more people around us to actually field all that communication, such that we can do it in an organized fashion. We here, the Rainbow Warriors are like here, and let's get it done.
Well, I love the message. I love what you're doing there. I love how you've chosen this path of spiritual truth instead of just the typical commercially driven, gangster rap, whatever that we see coming out of so many artists who take that path. You've chosen a path of enlightenment, a path of spiritual truth. I also want to share this with you. We've covered and documented how the medical system specifically targets African Americans for more disease, especially more cancer. Did you know that, for example, breast cancer is more aggressive in African American women than in white women? Did you know that?
Right.
And they won't tell those women why. And the reason is because of the vitamin D deficiency. They did a big study in Chicago. They had, I think, 300 nurses and medical professionals study this a couple years ago. And at the end of the study, they concluded they don't know why. They don't know why it's worse in black women than white women. And the answer is right in front of us. It's nutrition. And the African-American community is not being told that they need to take vitamin D because they're getting the deficiency compared to white people who can absorb more sunlight because of the skin pigmentation. And so black men have more aggressive prostate cancer, and they're not being told. It's a crime.
Right. Well, this is great. I mean, that's why I love, I pick Alex Jones, every now and then. I pick Health Ranger. I pick up on national news. And, information. It's information age. Definitely just keep sharing that. It's a lot for me to learn. It's a lot for the public to learn. And just hope everyone just has an open mind and really do their own research as well.
Yeah.
So we can get, especially all the educators. The one thing that was really empowering about this project is that we put out the curriculum, and a lot of educators are on it, and they're actually teaching in their schools. And they actually in correctional facility, while media here, seeing a lot of people watching the video and send pictures back of them actually discussing this stuff. So, get the information out there. Definitely.
That's amazing. So
people know.
What's next for you then? This project is already a success. I remember, I think your first YouTube video goal was only a few thousand views. You hit that in no time. Now, how many, is it up to 100,000 yet now?
Yeah, I think it's at 100,000 right now, maybe like 4 days.
Awesome.
Again, that's, that's a combination of, the artistry and sort of the intention, especially all the artists out there, like really doing the research, really connecting with the earth and connecting with the heart of the people and the heart of the universe, and really actually saying like, yo, we want to deliver something that actually speaks to people on a cellular and a soul level, and the intention actually played out. So to me, this is sort of validation. And I think where we're going with it, essentially, we have no choice at this point, because we have the energy to do it, and the field around us to do it based on the impact of the video is actually to create more curriculum, do more of the education, but also, we got the Indiegogo going for SOS Juice. We're raising the money right now to actually start this nonprofit, for-profit hybrid, such that when people who are probably most likely coming home from minor drug offenses, who are getting long sentences based on race and class, when they come back to the system, we don't want them to be better criminals and useless to society. We want to pick them up, educate them, hire them, and have them be in work with this SOS Juice thing that we're pumping out.
Excellent.
So we can actually get people the earth into their bodies, get the smoothies, the herbal elixirs, and that's actually the medicine that people need so they can be strong to actually.
I love how you're teaching people to grow food too. I think that's so crucial, and that's an issue of freedom for everybody across America. This is why we cover farm freedom. The farms are being suppressed. The food is being suppressed. We interviewed in the last hour a dairy farmer in Missouri who had his cheese outlawed because the government contaminated it and then blamed him for it. But food, if we get down to the issue of justice here, justice means people having the freedom to live their lives in the way they see fit, as long as they don't harm others in the process. And justice means you got to have freedom to have justice. Otherwise, if you don't have freedom, you can't have justice. So growing your own food is actually an act of resistance against the corporate controllers.
Definitely.
Well, any other
for the food. That's absolutely right. And that's what some of the education we're doing is just like something empowering. One thing we also realize is that young people and people in general, when you actually grow your food, you're more likely to eat it.
That's right.
So growing food is very strategic, and it actually marks the check off on so many different areas that it's a must. And seed savings along with the heirloom seeds. These things are revolutionary, right now. These things are commonplace in the past, but one thing I borrow inspiration from is the Black Panther Party. I have Black Panthers in my family and stuff like that. I also borrow a lot of inspiration from the indigenous community, indigenous ceremony. People who've been living close to the earth and doing this for a long time. But one thing the Black Panther Party did was they had free breakfast programs. And that's really when the government started looking at it like, wow, this is actually embarrassing. We had this whole COINTELPRO thing going, and they're actually providing resources for the community, sickle cell clinics, etc. And this was the 2013 version of that. Really you know, when you grow your food, you drop that seed. I mean, same amount of power in that seed is the same amount of power and energy is multiple nuclear bombs. I mean, so it's trying to reframe the conversation around what power is, you know, what freedom actually is when you're liberated in your body and you actually can, you know, so that's what we do. So it's not just the food. We do the meditation, the yoga, anything that keeps people clear and keep people on purpose with the highest that they need to operate in this lifetime. We want to provide facility for that.
Well, that sounds like a really healthy daily habit there to do that. Now, I don't know a lot of history about the Black Panther Party itself, but what I do know is that American history is full of groups being suppressed and oppressed, including, you know, the American Indians, including right now veterans being oppressed and suppressed by the government. What I know is that government never wants any people to be free, and what government does is it switches from one group to another. So it might have been black people in one era, and then it's Southerners, and then it's veterans, and then in the future it could be Latinos, it could be anybody. They just change the targets, basically. But the system is always a system of oppression. So that's why I support freedom and justice in whatever form it is, from where, you know, from wherever it comes out of the culture. That's what I support, is individual freedom, and that's what I see you singing about. So I commend you for this song. It's amazing.
Yeah, thank you for promoting it and posting it.
Yeah, it's my pleasure to do so, and I hope we see more from you too. I hope you stay on this track and put out some more music and videos that speaks to this spiritual truth and this war of resistance against the food poisoners.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, go to earthamplify.com, and we have songs about water. I mean, people talking about oil, but, you know, we might move on to water next, and talk more about that too, because that's huge. I mean, fluoride in the water. I mean, it's so much for water.
That's right.
That it's like wow, we may have to move. So we know food, water. We're dealing with the basics, you know.
Well, you know, one thing that's really interesting, I found that African Americans are really well informed on the dangers of vaccines, and they will say no to vaccines more than a typical group of white folks. If you have 100 white folks in a room and you have 100 African Americans in a room, and you say, who wants a vaccine? It's the white folks that raise their hands. Me, I'll take the vaccine. And all the black folks are like, I might want to think twice about that. I find that very interesting, because they've learned to not trust the lies coming out of medicine. Do you see that as well?
Yeah, I mean, we've had African-American history. You look at the history, I mean, it's like, you know, there's a Tuskegee experiment, you know, like, you know, illegal sort of like, you know, poisoning of people.
Yeah, the medical experiments, man, the Tuskegee experiments, all that.
There's been a lot of like sort of distrust, you know, and rightfully so on some levels. And I think that, like, you know, that's probably what that's coming out of. I mean, that's obviously a heated debate around that, but, you know, me personally, I mean, speaking on behalf of myself, you know, I haven't vaccinated my son. Yeah. You know, I'm not necessarily on that tip, and I've done a lot of research on it. I've
Good for you.
Do that research. But, yeah, you know, I mean, I think, you know, when people get the information, they make healthier choices. So education, you know, help people, change people's consciousness, shift people's consciousness, and that's people really get into a space where they actually, and then we deal with the spiritual aspect too, so that people can find that sovereignty within and let that emanate outward. So we do it in inside movement, inside outward, and outside in as well, being aware of what's going on.
Well, you're right. The transformation starts from the inside, and then it moves outside. You've nailed it. You're exactly right. We've only got about a minute left with you, Asha. Any final thoughts before we wrap this up? And also, I want to thank you in advance for being on the show today. But final thoughts?
Yeah, just thinking Earth Amplify, Jay Bless, the whole crew, the Brooklyn crew, the Oakland community, and Big O Solid Food Fighters Worldwide, Vandana Shiva, all amazing, beautiful, noble souls that we're around within this time who are actually standing up for truth and light. May it be so, and may we go onward.
Amen to that. Thank you for your contribution to this fight for food justice. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for being who you are. I really, really was inspired by your video, and I want to encourage everybody out there to go check it out. Food Fight by Seasunz. Check it out. Spread the word. It's good stuff. Thanks for being with us.
Visit Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. When you're on the site, you can also tune in 24 hours a day to my daily radio broadcast. There's also a free iPhone app to listen to the syndicated radio show when and where you want.